as we move forward and into the introducing you, right?
You are live now, Diane.
Okay, so please join me in the responsive reading. And it's the next slide. Amanda, if you want to help me with that. And hello to our Facebook friends where you're joining our regular Sunday service at ISD Oneonta with a responsive reading, and then we'll have a homily from Amanda, Reverend Amanda. So I will lead the bold words, and Amanda's going to lead you all in reading the italicized words, if everybody can see that. There is one energy behind all that is energized.
Please join me as I read. In the spiritual world, there is distinction without division. The part, in a sense, contains the whole. Each soul is universal.
All emerge from the one whose being is ever present and whose life, robed in numberless forms, is manifest throughout all creation.
There will ever remain the one absolute certainty, that we are ever in the presence of the infinite energy from which all things proceed.
The world of multiplicity does not contradict the world of unity, for the many live in one.
We are a spirit, while God is the spirit.
We lie in the lap of immense intelligence, which makes us organs of its activity and receivers of its truth.
Do you not know what you are, the temples of God, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you?
We dwell in the all, and the all is in us, because we are given of its Spirit. Amen. Blessed be. And the reading and homily this morning, go back to spotlighting Oneonta. We're okay, and taking down the slideshow. Great, great. Thank you. The reading and homily this morning will be presented by Reverend Amanda Hoover.
Thank you, Diana. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
And to those on Facebook and Zoom, who I haven't seen this morning yet, good morning. I got to remember to look at the camera, so we'll do that. All right. For those on Facebook, we are here in person again for the first time in almost 2 years. We did some events out at parks and things like that, but we are now very excited to be in the mall, in the community room at the Southside Malls. And it's really fun and interesting because 2 years ago, we had a visioning session where we all, the board and the leadership team and some members as well, went into a meditation, and we were trying to see where we'd be in a couple of years. And we kept seeing that we were either in airports or malls. And we're like, what? But we went with it. And then one day Diana says, guess what? So thank you for coming to be here. And thank you for joining us. It has certainly been quite a time these last 2 years. And thank you for sticking with us as we transition to our online platforms. And the beauty and the blessing in disguise is that we have so many newcomers, not only on Facebook and our Zoom services, but now here in person too. So especially the crew from Binghamton and Green, thank you all for coming out today and making a trip. And welcome to this beautiful community that we love so much. I just wanted to also say that not only did our it felt like we were separated and divided and having to be in Zoom, and we're in those Zoom boxes. It feels very separate, but we were able to come together in unity in a whole new way that we didn't expect. And our circles grew stronger, our messaging grew stronger, our group work and our unity. So I just want to feel, hold your hand on your heart and feel the gratitude of the blessings that we received in the last 2 years in the midst of all the crazy chaos that happened as well. Because in chaos, we can often find the unity as well. I saw I think it was Tina one of our members here had a picture on Facebook this morning, and it was a picture of the earth, and it showed half the earth on fire and half the earth like this paradise with butterflies. And it showed two people looking at the earth. Some of you saw it, I think, maybe this morning. And it said that it is not about what we see, but it's about who we are. It's who we are that's creating this reality. So I didn't say that word for word, but that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about today. So I titled this Human Unity, Humanity Undivided. I love wordplay. It's so much fun because there's so much paradox in words. And human unity, one human in unity, is what happens when we can make an entire humanity, is all the humans in unity. And that's a tricky situation, right? That's a tricky situation. But I don't want us to take for granted the thousands of years of work that's been done before us, that our ancestors did, that we did in our previous lives as our ancestors. They are cheering us on, and they are proud of us, and they keep saying, keep going, you got this. We are at a time that is very important. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more today. So one of the questions we can ask ourselves right now is, why don't we just have peace and unity? How come after all this time, we're still experiencing war in the outer reality? The higher love answer to that is that we cannot shift a collective consciousness, a humanity, until the individuals have started to shift themselves. The good news is we are, but you aren't going to hear that on the news, right? We are all ascending at a rapid rate. We are doing lifetimes of self-work and sometimes what feels like days. And I know some of you can agree with that. We've talked about that. In this beautiful community, we do this work every day. We know it's shifting. We know the power of the purge, of the tears, and of forgiveness. We feel it. We feel our resonance with magical moments, connection, unity, the divine matrix. We know this is happening. However, it may not be so obvious for those not in our community. Why at this time our influence as individuals is so crucial to the whole. We all learned this past 2 years in this collective dark night of the soul, that in order for a beautiful temple to be built, we need to let go of what is rotten, rusty, and sludgy, and what no longer serves within us. We've all worked so hard together on that. Take a minute to acknowledge that. Acknowledge the work that you've done in the last 2 years. Acknowledge how powerful that is. I know what struggles you've all gone through. I don't know what some struggles you've gone through, what struggles I've gone through, what you've all overcome, what we have overcome together through our holy desire to be and hold love. A quote by Teilhard de Chardin. Someday, after mastering winds, waves, tides, and gravity, we shall harness the energies of love. And then for the second time in the history of the world, man will discover fire, star fire, love fire. I was researching Roger Nelson, and if you haven't heard of him before, I had not. He set up a global consciousness project a while back while he was working at Princeton University. He set this up to assess the possibility of a subtle reach of consciousness in the physical world on a global scale. Without getting into all the statistics and methodology, because I know you all are masters of statistics, you can go look it up on a rainy day. He came to the conclusion that when human consciousness becomes coherent, the behavior of random systems change. So coherence means the quality of forming a unified whole. Imagine what we could do if we all put our minds to a coherent mission, vision, task. When researching this, it was really cool to see because Roger Nelson did this beautiful work through a collection of synchronicities that brought him to certain people and certain events. So I think we can all relate to that as we came together with ISD. So a being who sounds like he was in inner coherence while he was doing this research. The power of one and the power of many, the power of coherent consciousness, unity consciousness. Oh, I have a dream. Speaking of Martin Luther King, he said that people fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. And they don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other. On February 28, 2022, the Dalai Lama posted this on Facebook. It's pretty cool that Dalai Lama can put things on Facebook, right? We're really in the 21st century. He said this: "I'm deeply saddened by the conflict in Ukraine. Our world has become so interdependent that violent conflict between two countries inevitably impacts the entire world. War is outdated. Nonviolence is the only way. We need to develop a sense of the oneness of humanity by considering other beings as our brothers and sisters. This is how we build a more peaceful world. Problems and disagreements are best resolved through dialogue. Genuine peace comes about through mutual understanding and respect for each other's well-being. We must not lose hope. The 20th century was a century of war and bloodshed. The 21st century must be a century of dialogue. I pray that peace is swiftly restored to the Ukraine." I love what he said in this statement, because did he exclude anybody in this? Did he exclude one being in his statement? Not one, not one. Because what we do when we exclude is we are excluding an aspect of ourselves. I also love what he said about not losing hope, because what happens when we lose hope and we start to polarize to the negative, right? We often get stuck in fear paradigms. Is this going to happen to me? Or is this going to come here? Should I stock up on food? Are gas prices going up, right? These are the things you hear in the grocery store. Is there going to be enough toilet paper, right? We start going down those fear timelines. Or should I plan for the apocalypse? Have you heard conversations like that in the last 10 years? I have, and I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. We'll get into that a little bit later. So one of the other things I want to mention, if you follow spiritual speakers online or however, if they say this is only the beginning and it's going to get worse, or the astrology is pointing to intense, painful upheaval and doomsday, I think it's important to use discernment, because the best spiritual teachers, what are they going to do? They're going to uplift and provide hope. They're going to show that it's a kind of like astrology is more like a weather forecast that shows potentialities. It doesn't show our outcome. We still have power as creators to that outcome. So one of the things that happens is when we buy into these fear-based pieces, it lowers our frequency. And the more we lower our frequency, the more we delay our growth, right? The more we contribute to the planetary humanity in a more negative way. And the more we contribute to our ascension in a more negative way, or we slow it down. And it's not to say we're going to have those moments, because we're human, but we're working through them. We're working to understand what fear does to our bodies, and especially intense fear. And we've been in these states of consciousness, these fear states of consciousness, for a very long time, for thousands and thousands of years. So it's time to rise up, and it's time to unite together in love, projecting what we want from our hearts and our minds, not what we don't want. So let's switch from hope to a conviction of all knowing, not halfway and not sabotaging our creation, but holding it with love, holding it very intentionally with love. Because what happens when we finally get so fed up, either with ourselves or with the outer reality, we say, enough, enough. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a different way. And this is when great change occurs. The diamond reveals its splendor after it is pressurized. I wanted to share with you a Marianne Williamson quote, and I think it's one of the best quotes of the 21st century. And here, ministry in the 21st century with my cell phone here. Here's what she said. We're living in two worlds simultaneously. One, the fall of the Roman Empire, and the other, a new renaissance. We need to be both death doulas and birth doulas, helping die peacefully the systems that need to die, and helping give birth to a wholly different kind of world. And she didn't say Roman Empire, she just said Rome. So I want to be clear with that. Why is this so powerful? Because people are going to need others to help support, to understand what's happening, to understand that what we're seeing in the outer reality is this dying of the old way. That does look scary, but it's actually necessary for us to move into this better way, into the new way, into the Renaissance. So let's play with this for a little bit. I want to kind of show you how we can do this in our inner minds. So let's rewire for a minute. So we're going to move from move to more of like a high 4D, 5D, if anybody understands that language, to like this more Christ consciousness scenario, away from inverted consciousness, okay? Where we're no longer victims to this imposed reality, where we start informing the reality, because we are conscious creators, and we're starting to learn just how much we are conscious creators. So we're coming together to try to create this world together, instead of creating it from fear, but creating it from love. So becoming the eye of the hurricane in love and neutrality, shifting to no longer go down the roads in our mind of sludge and despair and hellscape creations, painting the outer canvas with the best case scenario in our minds as much as we can. And again, it's not easy, because what is our habit? What has been our habit to do? To be the critic, to think it's going to be bad, to go down the fear pathway. For so long, we've manifested that together, trying to grasp or control situations through force over divisive tactics. Think about how that plays out in your own life. It doesn't feel so obvious, but we do get pulled into those struggles sometimes, don't we? Instead of these warring type tactics, we can hold within us the power of love to create with our imagination. Our greatest gift that was given to us was thought, using thought for good. The current astrology that ends today of the Mars-Venus-Pluto conjunction asks us to look at this within ourselves. How have we used this Mars energy, this more masculine energy in the past, in a more patriarchal type, divisive kind of way? How can we connect more deeply to the divine masculine within us, being more tender, thinking before we speak, breathing before we act, allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and honest about our weaknesses, yet holding ourselves with love as we do so? I wanted to go back to that word apocalypse, because it's such a word, right? It has an energy to it, doesn't it? Can you feel that energy? So before this word was hijacked by the movies that made us think the world was going to end, there was an earlier meaning to it. So I wanted to talk about that. It is a Greek word from the book of Revelation, and it means to uncover, to disclose, to reveal, an uncovering, to take the cover off. And I'm going to take it further to say, pulling back the veil to see what is hidden. We are going through this right now as individuals and as the collective. It is part of an ascension process. The great reveal of what has been running amok in our subconscious minds that we've been blind to, where we've been hating, judging, fighting, and in separation, and we don't even realize it. But the great reveal is also revealing the beauty, the magic, the connection, the wonder, this paradise reality that's been hidden to us because we've been so lost in fear for so long. It's why the books of the dead are called the books of the dead, because we are dying to the old way to create the new way. Okay. One of the Egyptian book of the dead, a more positive version of that, with us not looking at it so literally, it's called coming forth by day. So it's dying to the old way and coming forth to the new way. Just to give you a little metaphysics stuff right there. Okay, so the revealing is a necessary step to the new Renaissance. Story and I one of our ministers were just talking last week, and we're like, we really should do a class on Revelation, because there's so much dogma, right, on Revelation, and lots of scary dogma, but there's really some beautiful pieces that are a part of this that are really important for us to understand that make it less scary. Okay, so how many of you are Star Trek fans out there? Anybody? Yay, I got some. Woohoo! Awesome. Yes. Very cool. So you guys are going to know what I'm talking about, but one of the things that they say is the prime directive cannot be violated. Do you know what I mean when I say that? The prime directive cannot be violated. This is because Starfleet prohibits its members from interfering with the natural development of alien civilizations. Whether this is truly an intergalactic requirement doesn't matter so much. The reason I bring it up is that we can't interfere with the ascension of an individual, okay? We are all on our own journey. So if we all look at ourselves in our own little universes and our own little realities, we can help to show people to the door. We can help to uplift them. but we cannot do it for them. We cannot do the process for them. It is your own process. Why listening within is so, so very important. It is why Gandhi said to be the change you want to see in the world. And to take it a step further, you will see the world change when you change from within. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to keep going galactic on you guys for a little bit. How many of you are Star Wars fans? Okay. It's the same crew. Of course it is, right? It always is. We're going to pull some of you into our ways here. All right. So in another galaxy far, far away, they had some issues like we did here, right? I'm going to do some metaphysical interpretation of one of the movies. And it was a great example of individual ascension shifting the outer reality. Okay. So in Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, my favorite character of all time, Rey, she is a Jedi in training. I said, yeah, she, which is great, isn't it? She was battling her inner shadow masculine very intensely throughout this movie and her feminine energies. So just to kind of give you a character play, just real quick, Palpatine, he was like the evil Sith Lord, right? She finds out at some point in the movie that she is his granddaughter. Now, she is one of the nicest, sweetest people you could ever see on a character. And she was battling in her do I have this in me too? Talk about ancestral healing, right? So she was doing that work. So there was also the character of Kylo Ren. And he came from one of, I will call it the Holy Grail family in Star Wars, okay? So Kylo Ren was also like, if you remember Darth Vader in the mask, he had a mask too, and he was doing all these evil things. But he started off as more of this on a good path, if that makes sense. But when he was interacting with her, he was a true narcissist, right? Don't you love that word? I really don't love that word, but I'm bringing it in for a reason. He was manipulative. He was controlling. He was intimidating. He wanted power over. He was enticing, cunning, warring. And she fights the side of her throughout the movie. She says to him in the middle, I wanted to take your hand, but Ben's hand, the nice guy, right? And she refused throughout the whole movie. She wouldn't join him. She was ascending. She had her boundaries, which is really beautiful. So at the end, she sees her divine masculine coming to help her after she defeated her inner masculine shadow. And I think that's a huge part to say, because once we heal these pieces in ourselves, then we stop seeing it so much in the outer reality. Okay. And then he wakes up from his slumber, his fierce slumber, wanting to take over the world and destroy the world. It's a very extreme example. And he switches back into resonance with his higher self embodiment. And the most exciting symbolism for initiates, seekers, and Star Wars fans is that she receives at the end a golden lightsaber. And this is very, very important. At the end of the movie, she brings the golden saber to a favorite planet. She digs a hole and she buries it, and she seeds in peace and unity. And there's peace in the galaxy once again. So it's this incredible hero's journey that Star Wars always is really good at, of working through your inner shadow, right? Like meeting in that scary scene with Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. You got to meet that fear inside of you before you can jump over the hurdle to the next level to get past it. Lots of good lessons in these movies. Okay. So let's see where we go from here. So I think, the most important piece here is that where do you want to go? What direction do you want to go in? What do you want to see? What do you want to create for our world? Are you creating the continuation of war and chaos and end of days in your mind? Or are you creating the new age of love, right? That Marianne Williamson quote, we're dying to the old way to build the new way. We are more powerful creators than we've ever been taught. So let's take a minute. I know we skipped the guided meditation, but let's just close our eyes for a minute. Let's go back. Let's go in and try to invert some of this fear consciousness. What do you want for you? Vision it. Take a deep breath. See. Those of you on Facebook, let's do this as well. And on Zoom, close your eyes. What do you want for you? What is your best case scenario in your life right now? See it playing out in front of you. How do you want to feel every day? It's beautiful whistling as someone walks through the mall, wishing us well as we do this, right? Seeing it in the good. What kind of thoughts do you want going through your mind each day? Now let's shift into, what do you want most for your family? Vision it, see it. What maybe has been going wrong that we can re-script to vision it to go right? This is where prayer comes in. This is where intention comes in. We're dream weaving our reality here. Now, what do you want for your community? Take a minute to vision it. And I'm going to give a really extreme example here just to make a point. Do you want gas prices to go up, or do you want a rich billionaire to give away electric cars to everyone for free? Okay, dream big, dream big. Use your mind and your consciousness to serve humanity, to create unity. And now, what do we want for our country? I know I want our country to come more back into unity, to forgive the past division that happened over these last 2 years. And what do we want for the globe? What do we want for the planet? And wrap it in that beautiful golden light Diana started with in the beginning of our service, that golden lightsaber light. All these beautiful wishes, and setting the prayer and the intention that we will work super hard not to sabotage these intentions in our thoughts each day, that we'll work very hard to hold them. And this is an exercise you can do every morning, planning your day. What do you want to have happen in your day? How do you want to feel today? I always say, I want a magical surprise that I didn't expect today. Okay, and then come back to the room. Let's get back to our logical minds for just a minute. And I just want to say, this is the work of lifetimes that I just talked about in 20 minutes. So don't feel like you have to pressure yourself to be perfect and all this stuff. We're growing and we're all doing this together. Thankfully, now we have some higher frequencies streaming to us to make this a little bit easier in the age of Aquarius. Healing is not easy work. Be kind to yourself, be patient with yourself, and do the same for others. This lifetime and the next are our opportunities to show our mastery. You are the universe looking back at itself. What are you going to create? How do you contribute to human unity, to your inner self unity? How do you contribute to creating unity in your community, families, and friendships? We are the ones we have been waiting for. We are the ground crew. Godspeed, Jedi. Thanks, everybody.
Beautiful. Thank you, Reverend Amanda. And we'll say goodbye to Facebook now, and we hope you come join us at one of our many events. We look forward to meeting new people. ISD Oneonta.org. Goodbye for now.